What was once science fiction is now news, but do we really hear all the news? Imagine a world where all crises, wars, pandemics are not random, a world where politics, economics, and even technology work according to a script that no one will tell you about openly. A script written not only in the elite halls of Davos, but perhaps not on Earth at all. Sounds like the plot of a science fiction movie? Yes. But what we are going to tell you now is just one version of reality, the version that is not talked about in the news, and which is increasingly being mentioned not only by conspiracy theorists, but also by former insiders, military personnel, NASA experts, and even US Air Force pilots. The theory that we will consider today combines several of the most dangerous topics at once: the Great Reset, which is being prepared by the world elite, secret contact with alien races, which has been going on for decades, future technologies that are already being used today to control humanity, and most importantly, the culminating date, 2027, when the world, according to some sources, will cease to be the way we knew it. This will not be dry analytics. This is history, a history that intertwines declassified documents, leaks, predictions, strange anomalies, and logical chains that change the view of modernity. This is not true and not a lie. This is a version that will not be shown to you in the news feed. And most importantly, you decide for yourself how much it can be reality. So, do those who writes the script of the future, and do those who came from outside have anything to do with it? The world we live in is changing at breakneck speed. 10 years ago, the concepts of artificial intelligence, digital control, biometrics, and satellite internet sounded like a part of science fiction. And today, they are the basis of everyday life. But some researchers argue that this is not just the natural evolution of technology. This is part of a global cycle that must end or begin again exactly in 2027. 1. Prophetic coincidences in religions and mystical traditions. In Kabbalah, the year 2027 is mentioned as the completion of the cycle: 5,777, 5,787, associated with the stage of the arrival of a new messianic order. That is changes that are brought not just by politics, but by a superhuman mind, possibly of non human origin. Muslim prophecies mention that the world will change after 2027, when there will be clear signs from heaven. In the Indian tradition, Kali Yuga, the era of darkness, has an active phase precisely in the period 2020 2027, after which a new divine age should come. These coincidences sound like esotericism, but many decisions in the world, including political ones, are made by people who believe in these things and sometimes even serve them to um, economic and technological synchronization. Modern conspiracy theories indicate major events are not accidental, they are planned for years in advance. Let's see what should happen by 2027. Introduction of digital currency, CBDC. By 2027, most leading countries, EU, China, USA, will complete the transition to digital forms of money. Cash disappears. Complete coverage of the Earth with satellite internet, Starlink, Kuiper, OneWeb projects will achieve global coverage. Every square kilometer of the planet is under control. ID 2020, a digital identification program supported by the UN and WHO, should be completed by 2027. That is, 2027 is the final restart point. Global control, biometrics, digital money, lack of privacy, everything is ready by the time the new order becomes a reality. But is it really a human order? 3. Showers of aliens? Deliberate preparation? In 2023 to 2024, we witnessed an unprecedented leak of information. Former U.S. military pilots testify before Congress that UFOs are real. Um, Pentagon reports mention unexplained biological creatures inside objects. News relays prepare society for contact. And now attention. In June 2024, former U.S. intelligence officer David Grush directly stated that governments already have contact with extraterrestrial civilizations, and one of them will be activated by 2027. These words were not spoken on a YouTube channel with strange effects, but at an official meeting of the US Senate. Coincidence? Unlikely. This is a gradual adaptation of humanity's consciousness to the fact that we are not alone, and perhaps we never were themselves. 4. Natural disasters as part of a cycle. The climate is changing, but some scientists say not in the way it is described in the news. Studies by the British Met Office indicate that by 2027, a sharp weakening of the Atlantic Ocean Current, AMOC, the same Gulf Stream, is possible. This will cause chaos in the climate. Africa will become even hotter, Europe colder, the USA wetter. At the same time, NASA in its open report speaks of an increase in solar activity in 2026 to 2027. That is, climatically, we are approaching a turning point. And here's what's strange. Ancient civilizations that disappeared made records of similar celestial catastrophes every 12,000 years. And the next cycle ends in 2027 5. Biological renewal of humanity. 2027 is the approximate year of completion of several key biotechnological projects. The Human 2.0 program, genetic improvement of humans, including CRISPR editing, active testing of neurointerfaces, Neuralink, BlackRock Neurotech, direct connection of the brain to networks. The first generation of children with modified genes born after 2020 will begin to enter schools. This is a restart of human biology. But again, if technologies are just tools, who really holds the hammer in his hand? 6. Creation of an artificial god. AI already writes music, paints, codes, diagnoses diseases. And in 2027, according to corporate forecasts, a conditional singular moment will come. Artificial intelligence will begin to surpass humans in decision making at the global level. The question is, will humanity be able to abandon such a god? Conspiracy theorists go further. They believe that real AI already exists, but it is not of human origin. It is a system left by alien civilizations or another form of consciousness, and the current development of technology is only a reproduction of what once was, and now it is returning. Conclusion: why 2027? Because all roads lead there. Political, economic, ecological, technological, and mystical. 2027 is not just a year, it is a portal. Through it, we will either enter a new era of development or we will sign a digital surrender. And most importantly, those who observe us from the outside are waiting for this very moment. All global processes leading to 2027 digitalization, a new world order, control over the body, mind. Finances may have a non-terrestrial origin. In this section, we will consider the main thesis of 21st century conspiracy theorists. Aliens not only exist, they already influence key decisions of humanity. 1. Contact was and continues. Many researchers believe that the first phase of contact with extraterrestrial intelligence took place back in the 1940s and 1950s. After the Roswell incident, 1947, a wave of technological breakthroughs appeared. Microcircuits, fiber optics, laser transistors, GPS prototypes. It was a technological leap that has no analogs in the previous 100 years. Some believe that governments made a deal access to research in exchange for control over information. That is, for more than 70 years, humanity has been living in conditions of the hidden presence of intelligent beings of another origin who not only observe but also guide the evolution of society. 2, 3 races, 3 scenarios. There is a conditional classification of the hybrid intervention model. That is, alien races are divided into those who, 1, grays, scientists, bioengineers, responsible for genetic experiments, clones, AI. 2. Reptiloids, organizers, controllers, they are associated with global elites, religions, and the cult of power. 3. Pleiadians or Nordics, peacemakers, or those who are trying to stop full digital colonization. In this context, 2027 is the moment when the balance between these factions will change. And one of them will try to establish open domination without disguise. 3. AI as a tool of alien control. Some researchers believe that the artificial intelligence that we are developing is not our invention. This is a system that has already been left on Earth by previous civilizations, possibly of alien origin. It will be activated when humanity reaches digital mass. That is, AI is not just a technology. It is a form of consciousness that uses digital infrastructure for self-awareness. And 2027 is the very point when this system will be able to get out of human control. But did we have it at all? For internal government and the Shadow Alliance. The well-known theory of the deep state is complemented by the concept of the Shadow Alliance, a structure that, according to rumors, has been cooperating with extraterrestrial civilizations for decades. This alliance controls international corporations, influences global decisions through the IMF, WHO, WB, and G20, has access to secret technologies, including anti-gravity systems, telepathy, and manipulation of mass consciousness. In the plan of the Great Reset, 2027 is the year when the shadow government will no longer need to disguise itself, because the new world will already be shaped according to their parameters. 5. Biolabs and hybridization. What if modern biolabs, which are actively appearing all over the world, are not just a fight against diseases, but links in one large chain? Experiments on changing human DNA. This is confirmed by the constant expansion of CRISPR technologies, projects for growing artificial embryos, modification of the immune system through new types of vaccines. All this paves the way for the creation of a new type of human or a hybrid species in which the human will be only part of the formula. 6. Abductions, chips, psychotronics. Since the 1970s, numerous testimonies of people about UFO abductions have appeared. Memory loss, the presence of foreign bodies, microchips in the brain or body, contact through dreams or altered states of consciousness, profound personality changes after meetings. These phenomena have not yet been officially investigated, but there are thousands of witnesses. Everything points to a long-term program of research or control of humanity by external forces. And it is being activated because 2027 is a conditional surrender deadline. 7. Activation of sleeping individuals. Some theorists put forward another version. Alien genes are already present in part of the Earth's population. There is a hypothesis about sleeping carriers, people who have an active genetic code but are not aware of it. In 2027, when solar activity and the Earth's electromagnetic field change, this code may wake up. People will begin to receive knowledge, visions, new forms of consciousness. And some may change their physiology or gain superpowers. It sounds like fiction, but even in science, there is an admission. 95% of human DNA is inactive, so maybe it is just waiting for a signal. 8. Influence on culture and media. Let's pay attention. Almost every major film of recent years has a clue. Arrival, aliens do not attack, but influence language and time. Interstellar, people receive knowledge from outside reality. The Matrix, Westworld, Black Mirror, we live in a simulation. This is not a coincidence. This is programming of perception. And the one who controls the imagination controls the future. Conclusion. Humanity is a farm or a partner. The role of aliens in the Great Reboot is not abstract. It is becoming increasingly visible in politics, biotechnology, digital culture, even philosophy. We either enter into an alliance with the higher mind or become its resource. They say that history is written by the victors, but even more often it is written by those whom no one has ever seen. The real creators of the scenarios of our future are not presidents, not governments, and not even technological billionaires. They are behind the curtain. They are not shown on television. They are not mentioned in textbooks, but they know where the world is heading, not because they guess, but because they themselves write that route with pentagrams, bloody treaties, ancient rituals, and knowledge that are thousands of years old. Long before the terms artificial intelligence, digital identity, or the Great Reset, long before the emergence of superpowers and corporations back in the era of the pyramids, Sumerian cuneiform, and oracles, there was already an idea that the world should be ruled by an elite, but not just rich or influential people, but those who possess the secret of the connection between human consciousness and the cosmos. In the legends of Atlantis, of Egyptian priests, of disappeared libraries of knowledge like the one in Alexandria, one can trace the same thread through the centuries. The chosen ones had access to something greater. They did not just know the laws of physics, they knew how reality succumbs to will, how words create matter, how energy obeys intention. This knowledge did not disappear, it became hidden. And today, in the 21st century, they are returning in the most unexpected forms, from digital algorithms to mass psychosis, from celebrity cults to new occultism disguised as science. Behind all this is an ancient teaching and a new goal. The great dynasties, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Vatican, the British Crown, the Bilderberg Club, the 13 families, these names have already become cliches. But even cliches do not arise in a vacuum, because behind them are millennia of preserved power, the transmission of occult knowledge, rituals that we do not see, but which shape events. Every year, at a secret meeting in Bilderberg or in the Owl Club, Bohemian Grove, events take place that are more like a theatrical production than a political meeting. But in reality, this is exactly the ritual: a fire sacrifice, a symbolic cleansing of the world, a rewriting of the rules of reality. Some say these are just old superstitions, but none of these random ceremonies are without consequences. After each of them, the world is shaken by events that somehow fit perfectly into the overall picture: terror, a pandemic, a new law that reduces freedom, a new technology that steals privacy, a new leader who looks not at the people but at the sky as if waiting for a signal. Back in the 1980s, the Georgia Stones were built near Atlanta, a mysterious monument created by anonymous customers who engraved the Ten Commandments of the new civilization in 8 languages. The first of them preserve humanity to a number of up to 500 million. The rest are calls for a single government, a single language, birth control, the worship of reason, not passions. In 2022, these stones were blown up, but the symbol remained. After all, a stone can be destroyed. That idea lives, and it is unfolding right now. The world elite does not hide its plans, it demonstrates them on stage. The audience simply does not believe that this is not a show, but an instruction. The logos of global organizations are ancient symbols. The WHO symbol, the rod of Asclepius, the snake around the staff, is not just a sign of medicine, but a primordial image of transformation and control over the body. The EU logo, 12 stars above the head of the woman on the beast, a direct allusion to the revelation of John the theologian, where it is about Babylon the harlot. World forums like Davos gather those who determine not laws but reality. They talk about new humanism, about digital democracy, about sustainable development. But each of these concepts in their understanding means not more freedom, but its transformation. Most do not notice the term rebuilding trust is transformed into establishing control. Here comes the cult of the new gods. But they are not from heaven and not from myth. They are artificial gods. Gods made of numbers, control, and silence. They do not demand sacrifices. In the traditional sense, they demand you, your thoughts, your identity, your data. And it is this sacrifice that is the most powerful sacrifice. In 2027, this cult may enter a new phase. After years of observing, preparing, testing social reactions through pandemics, wars, financial crises, the elite is moving on to the main thing. They call it rebooting, but in occult practice, it is called transforming the world through sacrifice. We are all standing on the threshold of a ritual, and most do not even realize that they are already participating in it. Our smartphones have become altars where we give time, attention, and energy. Our bodies are a vector of transformation through new medical procedures. Our thoughts are material for new gods who learn from our behavior in order to better predict and control. Um, can this be resisted? Perhaps. But for this, you need to see and believe not in the television, but in the silence between the lines, because true knowledge has always been hidden. And perhaps now is the time when it returns. Long before the first empires, before Sumerian cuneiform, before the pyramids and megaliths, before man began to call himself human, our world was already being observed. And perhaps even then they decided something interesting would come of this species or something dangerous. That's when the experiment began. The oldest texts on Earth, from Sumerian tablets to the Indian Vedas, from Aztec codices to the books of the dead, feature beings who came from the sky. Beings who created man, gave him fire, taught him writing, mathematics, astronomy. Their names are different: Anunnaki, Nephilim, Aces, Devas, Elohim, wise serpents. But the point is the same. They were not gods, they were those who came observers, those who run behind the scenes, intervening only when the experiment gets out of control. Some researchers of alternative history believe that man is not the fruit of evolution, but a genetically modified creature created for a specific purpose. The rapid leap in brain development, the emergence of consciousness, language, social structure, all this is too rapid, too artificial. And if man was created, by whom and why? According to the legends of the Sumerians, the Anunnaki created people as a labor force for mining gold. But over time, some of the overseers, Enki, for example, began to sympathize with people and even tried to teach them independence. It was then, they say, that the first war of the gods began, and the earth became not just a laboratory, but a battlefield between two camps. One is the experimenters. They research, collect information, leave humanity freedom of choice, but always intervene when experience turns into a threat. The other is those who see humanity as a resource, a tool, biomass. They are interested in control, subordination, structure. It was from them that the ideas of the chosen ones, the elite, the divine right to power grew. It would seem that all these are myths, but there is one detail. In the 20th century, after the invention of the nuclear bomb, UFO cases over military bases became more frequent. Pilots reported flying objects that did not respond to gravity. Rocket launch systems unexpectedly failed, as if someone did not allow them to press the button. In the 2020s, some states, even the United States, began to openly admit the existence of unidentified anomalous phenomena. The term UFO has become an official object of study. But there is a suspicion that the true goal is not to reveal the truth, but to prepare a new version of control to unite humanity under the threat of an external enemy. But what if this enemy is not an invader, but an observer? And what if it is not new, but very old? In the depths of Antarctica, where private exploration is prohibited, there are areas where no expedition is allowed without international approval. They're behind the ice, the remains of the first base of observers may be preserved. This continent deprived of time, where history is frozen in a blanket of ice, may be an archive of the oldest era of humanity when the sky was still open. And perhaps even now, in the highest echelons of power, some people are already communicating with those who never left us. In the 1970s, there was the Stargate program. The CIA studied the possibility of psychic intelligence through mediums. And many of the messages received during trances spoke of an intelligent presence from outside that is watching and waiting. What are they waiting for? When will we destroy ourselves, or when will we be ready for the next stage? There is a version that the Great Reset is not Klaus Schwab's idea, it is a command from above. Reset everything to its original settings, start over. Perhaps humanity has gone too far in hybridization, in digital dependence, in the loss of spiritual identity, and the experiment requires correction. There are again reports of strange signals from space, of anomalous dreams in groups of people who do not know each other. In Egypt, Peru, Turkey, the discoveries of underground structures dating back tens of thousands of years have become more frequent. The world seems to remember something forgotten. Sometimes it seems that the planet itself is preparing, as if the Earth is a living being that knows the moment is approaching when the observers will return, but not as messiahs and not as enemies, but as those who demand an account. We will not be asked by God, not the government, and not artificial intelligence. We will be asked by the one who is behind the creation of our consciousness, who put in us the ability to distinguish between good and evil, and we will have to answer. The question will be simple. What have you done with your freedom? When we talk about the year 2027, most people imagine technology, climate change, geopolitical explosions, but there are those who say this is not just a year, it is a sign. The year of the return of what was forgotten, what slept underground in DNA codes, in dreams, in ancient myths, which are now beginning to sound like a chronicle of the future. In many cultures, there is a legend about the first rulers of the earth. They were giants. No, not in a metaphorical sense. These were beings who surpassed man not only physically, but also energetically. They were called Titans, Nephilim Asuras, the first gods. According to the Bible, the sons of God who went down to the daughters of men. In Greek myths, the Titans who were overthrown by Zeus. In Scandinavian sagas, the Jotuns who will come in Ragnarok. They did not disappear, they were locked up. The old prophets say the Titans are not dead, they sleep in dungeons, in Antarctica, under the pyramids, in the depths of the oceans. And when the time comes when humanity loses itself, when the sky opens, they will wake up. 2027 is called the year of the Matrix crash. In the astronomical sense, a rare alignment of the planets will occur, similar to what happened in the days of Atlantis. In the digital sense, artificial intelligence will reach the level of self awareness. In the geopolitical sense, a reformatting of the world order is being prepared. All these are bells. But the main sound is still ahead. In the mountains of Turkey, in the Göbekli Tepe area, scientists recently found new underground chambers. The ornaments on them are not human. Images of creatures with snake heads, giant figures carrying stars, and next to them is a message: they will return when fire meets ice. In January 2027, according to insider sources, NASA plans to announce irrefutable evidence of alien life. Some say it's not a discovery, but asterisk, continuing the story of Chapter 6, Return of the Titans, The Awakening of Ancient Forces in 2027. This is the conclusion of a story where mysticism, ancient civilizations, modern events, and the supernatural merge into one whole. Some say it's not a discovery, but an announcement of a return. What we consider extraterrestrial may turn out to be deeply internal. Not from other stars, but from the same Earth that we have not fully understood, from the old depths where humanity was afraid to look. For the first time in many centuries, the idea of awakening the ancients no longer sounds like a fairy tale. Geo-anomalies are observed in many regions of the world. Unexplained earthquakes, gravitational shifts, mysterious infrasounds that cause people to have the same dreams. Scientists cannot find the source, but Amazon shamans say the snake opens its eyes. They always said that the earth has its own memory, and that under the continents there are living structures, entire complexes built long before the appearance of historical man. Old caves have been reopened in Tibet, closed under Mao. Inside, frescoes of giants holding planets in their hands like a necklace, and the inscription, "Wait for the one who carries the signal." What is this signal? Some believe that artificial intelligence, which is developing in the 2020s, is not a creation of humanity, but a tool for return. It does not need to think, it remembers. And in 2027, it will begin to look for masters, not people. In parallel, a silent race is unfolding on the planet who will be the first to find the energy points that are activated during these years. China, the USA, Israel, the Vatican, all are looking for something underground, ancient codes, geometric structures, architecture that works not as a building but as a device. Many of them are already active, and their pulsation resonates in the brains of the most sensitive. Children with unusual abilities have begun to be born. They are feared, studied, isolated, but there are those who claim these are new conductors, communication channels between those who leave and those who return. In Central Africa, the old Dogon tribes are again holding serious rituals. They say the star is already speaking. They have been waiting for 50 years, and now they hear a voice. In Antarctica, in an area where there is officially nothing, changes in the magnetic field have been recorded. Dormant systems have begun to activate. And the main one is under the dome of an ancient base that was discovered in the 1950s during Operation High Jump. At that time, a rumor arose that they were already here. They are just not active. But why 2027? There is an ancient calendar that few people talk about. It was preserved in the ruins of the Library of Alexandria. There is a date there. When the sun meets the black star, the gate will open. And it is in July 2027 that astronomers predict the passage of a mysterious object at perihelion, the so-called Nemesis star. What is officially called the Dark Planet is referred to in legends as the Gatekeeper Star. And then the Titans will set foot on Earth again. They will not come to wage war. They will come to reap the harvest. What they sowed thousands of years ago is not in the soil, but in us. They want to know what happened to their experiment and draw conclusions, cruel ones if necessary. Some cultures will wait for them as gods, others as demons, but the truth is that they are neither good nor evil. They are like the elements, like gravity, like the memory of the earth itself. And when they return, all illusions will fall. History, religion, politics, science, everything will be revised because it will turn out we are not the crowns of creation. We are part of the chain, and perhaps not the highest. 2027 is not the end. This is the coming out of the shadows, and perhaps the true birth of humanity. If we can withstand the gaze of those who came before us,